Hi, and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. My name is Lisa Curcio. This is a YouTube live event, and today is Wednesday, November 11th, and the year is 2020. Whether you are here watching the live with me or you are here to watch the replay, I am glad that you've joined me. I've got a beautiful fun fold for you tonight. This card is just reminiscent of beautiful frosty colors for the winter. I've made mine for Christmas, but of course you can put all kinds of spin on these beautiful papers and dies. I'm going to be using the Snowflake Wishes Bundle, which is the stamp set and the coordinating dies. Please make sure you hang with me through the end of the video because I have 6 additional cards to share with you, 3 of which are fun folds. I'm also going to share some great information about this month's card making class so that you can obtain the tutorials and videos for those other 6 projects. A couple things before we get started tonight. I want to introduce you to Megan. You'll see Megan's name here in blue, and she is my virtual assistant here on YouTube. She's here to help answer your questions and give you direction and links if you need them. Obviously, I'm stamping, and it's very, very difficult to be able to address all your comments and questions, so that's what Megan is here to do. Additionally, if you would like to chat tonight, please make sure that you're logged into your YouTube account. That is required by YouTube in order to chat during the live stream or even afterwards for the replay. And then finally, as a reminder, as with all my videos, I'm going to have a link down in the video description below the title that will lead you over to the pictures, the cutting dimensions, and all the supplies that I've used for tonight's project. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to start with is some scoring. And I've got my trimmer here, and I love that it includes both a scoring and a cutting blade. The clear cutting guide makes it super easy to cut those small pieces of cardstock. There are also ledges here at the top and the bottom, which is going to help keep your cardstock nice and straight. There's also an extended arm here that goes just past 17 inches for those larger projects or if you're a scrapbooker. The great thing about these blades is they stay here on the track. They navigate up and down out of the way. So let's start with the scoring. This is 5.5 by 10.5 piece of Whisper White cardstock, and we're going to do 2 simple score lines. The first one is going to be at 4.25. So I'm navigating here, making sure my cardstock is along that ledge so it's nice and straight. Using that light blade, which is for scoring, we are going to score. Then what we're going to do now is we're going to navigate to the 8.5 inch mark. And this is where I'm going to use that arm. So let's go ahead and open that up. And then we're going to position that cardstock back in one more time. And we're going to move over to the 8.5 inch mark. I want to make sure I didn't lose my spot there. And then we are going to score one more time. That's all that's required for this piece. Now I'm going to set this aside because there is one additional piece for this project. And this is cut 3.5 inch by 7. And all we're going to do is score this one in half at 3.5 inches. So I'm just going to add that score line here. Okay, so now that that's all finished, we are ready to start putting this together. Let me put those to the side for just a second, and I'm going to bring in some designer series paper. Oh, this is beautiful. The colors in here are just so frosty and so calming. Like all the Stampin' Up! Designer series papers, they are double-sided, which gives you lots and lots of options. I did choose to use this one for today's project, and of course, you know, I love this because they're great for scrapbooking as well, because these beautiful colors are going to work through the winter months beautifully. I'm going to start by adhering this to a piece of purple posy cardstock. And again, I'm going to have all those cutting dimensions down in the video description below. Just leads over to my blog where all the pictures are too. I'm working with my Stampin' Seal Plus, and I'm adding adhesive just in small strips around the outside perimeter here. And then we're going to add that to this purple posy layer. This is going to create beautiful coordination. And this is one of the things about Stampin' Up! Products that I absolutely adore is that coordination. So everything matches. Okay, so this is one piece. Let's go ahead and add this now to the card base itself. Remember the piece that we scored? Let's go ahead and fold up on those score lines. So we've got that larger score line here in the center, and then we're going to use that bone folder for a nice crisp crease. And then I'm going to come over to the smaller edge, and we're going to crease this one as well. Let me zoom you out just a little bit to make sure you can see really, really good. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to start constructing this card. Now I decided to put mine in the landscape fashion. So obviously this card can go the other way as well. This piece is intended to go here on the front of the card. So what I'll do is I'll use that silicone craft sheet once again. I absolutely love this product. The one thing I use it a lot for in the studio, obviously, is adhesive, because liquid glue, hot glue, and adhesive will not stick to it, which means it's going to keep your work surface sticky free. It's a one-time buy. It's just a few dollars. And just like all the products I'm using today, you're going to be able to find those in my online store. This is going to get centered. I intended this to be a very narrow margin on purpose because I wanted that designer series paper to be the focus. All right, down here, remember this little piece? This is actually going to get decorated as well. So I'm going to open it up to make it a lot easier for my hand. And I've cut another piece of designer series paper and another piece of cardstock that are going to border it. So let's flip that over. And I'm going to add adhesive to the back side here. And then we're going to border that on the purple posy cardstock. Again, I made this a very narrow border because I really wanted to focus on that gorgeous designer series paper. All right, now I'm going to flip that one more time, and we're going to add more adhesive to the back side. And this now is going to go on this layer. Now, before we adhere this, I want to show you. This is going to come down, and this is going to come up. This is part of the fun fold. So I want to make sure that you're putting this in the right area. So I'm just going to open up the card, and I'm going to lay that here, again, looking for that narrow border of white cardstock on all four sides, the very best that I can, and then we'll press that in place. Well, this is just one portion of the card. Now let's work on the other portion that we had scored. Remember this piece here? Let's go ahead and add the designer series paper to this as well. This was the piece that, nope, it's not designer series paper. I almost got off track there. Hold on one second. I decided to use cardstock for this because I wanted to create a negative image here using these beautiful snowflake dies. Look at this die. Now you might think this is going to die cut a snowflake, and it does, but not like you think. So let me show you what I did. I centered this in the middle of the cardstock, and I ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And just to save space, because I'm in a tight area, I decided to do that before you joined me, and look what it left me. Look at that negative image. And this is one reason why I decided to mount it right here on the white. The designer series paper would have created a beautiful tone on tone, but I wanted that white snowflake to be predominant on the front of my card. So I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to the back side of this. Now I'm going to give you a couple tips about this because you can see that there are a lot of open filigree areas. A lot of times, and I'm guilty of this too, I want to put adhesive everywhere. We don't have to do that. We're going to work mainly around the outside perimeter. Remember, you're mailing it. It's really not going to be trampled on too much. It does go through the mail meter at the post office, so I am cognizant that I want to make sure it's not going to lift. If you feel more comfortable, you can add glue dots in these areas here. I'm really fortunate that I'm able to get just a little tad of adhesive in there, but honestly, I'm not too concerned about it. This now, I'm going to lay right here since it's got adhesive on it. It won't stick. There's that card. We folded that in half. Let's create that score line. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this panel, and that's going to go here on the front of my card. Now, some of you might be asking, why did you fold it in half and then open it? I always like to have that predominant crease so I know exactly where my panel goes. So look at that. Isn't that stunning? All right, now let's put this together. You know what? Let's stamp first. That's what I decided to do. Let's go ahead and grab some scratch paper to protect that work surface. I'm going to do some stamping in here as well. From the beautiful Snowflake Wishes stamp set. This is where I'm using all my images and all my greetings. I know you've got a little bit of a glare there from the studio lights. My apologies. So the great thing about this is obviously you can choose whatever snowflakes you want. There's really no rules to this. The same with the coordinating dies. Now I've pulled out quite a few of those here from the package, but we're going to go through some of those dies tonight and we're going to talk about those as well. So the images and the greetings are from that stamp set. And because I didn't want to take away from that subtle, beautiful designer series paper, I'm going to be using the Smoky Slate ink pad. I like this for greetings when I'm using subtle colors because it's not so bright and so dark as the black. So I've pulled out the Snowflake Wishes for a Merry Christmas. I'm going to go ahead and I'll ink that up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this nice and flat so it doesn't move on me. And I don't do too many things straight. So this is where my grid sheet comes in really, really helpful for me to kind of keep my paper straight. Photopolymer stamps do certainly help make that easier because they actually turn the color of the ink when you stamp them. So there we go. We've got our greeting. I've got my Stampin' Scrub Cleaner right off camera. That's what I like to use. And of course, there's a Stampin' Chamois too. That works equally as well. Now I decided to add a little snowflakes around here for some visual interest and to add continuity to the front of my card. I've got the Highland Heather ink pad here. I really wanted to coordinate with that purple posy cardstock that we had just added to the front of this. And I'll just show you here because I don't want to flip that since we got that ink pad open. You see that? But there isn't a purple posy ink pad. So what I decided to do was a little bit of experimenting, and I loved this tip because I think it's going to help you as well. One ink pad can produce more than one shade of color. So let me give you an example. I'm going to ink this up in the Highland Heather, and I'm going to stamp it here. So we've got a beautiful purple color. And then I'm going to stamp it here, and you're going to see how it's lighter. Do you know that this matches almost perfectly to the purple posy cardstock? So I thought, okay, perfect. We're just going to stamp off, which is what this is called. So I'm going to ink, I'm going to stamp off, and I'm going to add a snowflake here. So we've got a little bit of continuity going to the paper. I'm going to switch now over to another color just to bring in more colors from the designer paper. And this is Balmy Blue. I'll go ahead and open that up. And I'm going to choose a different snowflake this time. This is a little bit smaller. And I always like to check it. You know, sometimes your ink pad is juicy and new and you might find that that's too dark. Maybe you want it lighter. And I'm like, yep, I definitely want it lighter. So let's stamp off and let's put that one here. And you're going to see how I worked over the border here. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to create more of a wallpaper effect. And I wanted to leave some room here. So if you wanted to write a message, you certainly could. So let me show you where this panel goes. Let me move this off to the side. Now we are also going to work on the inside of this card, and we are going to gussy this up a little bit because I just love the colors and the coordination in this suite. What I'm going to do is add adhesive to the back side here. So let me grab that silicone craft sheet once again, and I'm going to open it up to make it easy for me to see where that crease is. I've got my CO Plus once again, and I'm going to work right around my perimeter here. Add a little adhesive. I'm going to fold it shut. Oh, it's sticky. And then I am going to center that now in the front of this panel. That's all you need to remember is just center it from the top to the bottom and try to get equal space here on the sides. Once you're happy with it, you can go ahead and tack that in place. So we'll just rub. This flap is going to come up. This flap is going to come down. Look at that double flap. Isn't that fun? Let's work on a beautiful focal point for this. One of the products in this suite is this absolutely stunning Balmy Blue Glimmer Paper. And I know you probably got a horrible glare, but boy, I wish you were here. The great thing about this paper, watch, there is no mess whatsoever. So you don't have to worry about this just creating a huge mess on your die cutting platforms or your machine or on your dies or leaving a mess all over your work surface. I don't know about you, but when I use Glimmer Paper, and it actually has a heavy glitter on it, one thing I've always hated is those little traces can get in your ink pads, and you don't have to worry about this. This is fantastic. I took one of the dies from that die set, and I die cut myself a beautiful snowflake, and I did that ahead of time, which has left us with this. Isn't this pretty? Now, the great thing I like about this Glimmer paper is it's not really, really stiff, so it's going to die cut perfectly. Those intricate dies do a fantastic job. Then what I did is I took another die from that set, a little bit smaller, and a piece of Whisper White cardstock. And that left me with this. So now I have two pieces that I can beautifully layer for this card. So let's go ahead and do the layering first. The easiest way is with glue dots. And I've got my glue dots here. So I'm going to peel that back. This is rather small, so I'm going to use my favorite tool here in the studio, which is my Take Your Pick tool. This is the best $10 I think any paper crafter can spend. It has a putty tip, which is going to help me pick up the small pieces of cardstock or even loose sequins. And then there are interchangeable tips that come with this. And I've attached the paper piercing tool. It also includes a little spatula on the other end here, which is great for removing dimensionals, and a double-sided stylus tool comes with it. So I'm going to lift that, and I'm going to put that right smack dab right here in the center of that glue dot. This is where I like to use this. This is going to help me to give that a good lift without marring that small detailed snowflake. And I'm going to place that right here in the center, and I'm going to press. Now that in itself is gorgeous, but I decided to play up these colors just a little bit more. So I'm going to use another product, which is this gorgeous iridescent ribbon. Now let me move this off to the side because I'm going to do a little zigzagging with this ribbon. Now, a lot of people tell me that this kind of stresses them off when they try this because they feel that they don't do it right. Honestly, there is no right or wrong way to doing this. So just Do it however. The messier, the better, because you're looking for that whimsical look. With ribbon like this, you can wrap it around your hand several times and then just kind of pinch it in the center. So let me do that one more time. I know I did it fast. Leave yourself a tail and then just wrap it around your fingers. And obviously the number of fingers that you use is going to create the depth of that little zigzag. And again, don't be concerned about making it really pretty when it comes off. Now for tonight, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fold this just in half. I cut myself more ribbon than I needed so I can demonstrate that for you. And this is going to go here. So I want a little bit of color behind this iridescent look. Now you're going to see, not only do I have too much ribbon, let's go ahead and give that a little bit of a haircut first. That'll make it a little bit easier to use, and I'll save that for another project. Sometimes if I know my embellishment is going to hide this, I have a trick. I use a little bit of household tape and I tape it down. And then I add my embellishment over the top. But you can see that this snowflake has a beautiful filigree opening, so I was afraid that was going to show. So we're going to do a little bit of card surgery. So I've got my glue dots here. That roll is almost empty, so I'm going to gravitate to this newer roll. I'm going to attach that here right in the middle. That is going to hold part of the first area of my ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and place this on an angle. I think that'll be a little bit more interesting. Now I'm going to need a little bit more of that glue dot because these are small to hold that other strand in place. And then I'm going to place this here. Now the great thing about glue dots is if you have to, you can kind of lift this very carefully and then readjust that. All right, now I've got my snowflake. Now I decided I wanted this up on a dimensional, or in your case, you may decide you just want a glue dot. So for tonight, let's just go ahead and use a glue dot since we've got those out. And I'm going to place one right here in the center where I want it. Again, I'm not concerned that it's not, the perfect circle because it's really not going to show when we're done. And then I'm going to attach that here and then I'm going to press. The one thing about glue dots is they are super duper strong. This, beautiful. But there's another accessory that I could not resist using, and these are called the blue adhesive backed gems. You're going to see that there's two different shades of blue here, and I chose the darker one. And in order to hide any glue dot that might be exposed from when I attach these two together, I chose this medium or larger size here. Now they have glue dots already on the back, which make them really easy to use. So I'm just going to kind of slide that in the right position. And then when I'm happy with it, we're just going to give that a good press, and that's going to hold everything in place. So far, so good. But let's go ahead and let's finish up the inside of this card because there is a die in this die set that does the most magnificent thing, and I can't wait to show you. This die creates a frame. So I took another piece of purple posy cardstock, and I laid this in the center, and I die cut it. And I did that ahead of time, again, to save space and time. And that has left me with this. Is this not absolutely beautiful? And it die cut lickety-split, super easy. This is going to go to the inside of the card. And this is just screaming an area for the greeting. And that's what I decided to do. So I'm going to come back to my smoky slate ink pad. And I'm going to open that up. And I'm grabbing a different greeting from that same stamp set. And this says, "May your season sparkle." Now I'm feeling kind of brave tonight, so let's go ahead and adhere this first because I know it's going to fit, especially with photopolymer, because I know I'm going to be able to see where it's going to go. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to add my adhesive around the outside perimeter, and I'm going to turn this to make this a little easier for my hand. You're going to notice I'm avoiding those little opening areas there because I don't want my adhesive to peek through. And I'm going to add a little bit, I think, here towards the inside of the window, just to make sure that stays intact. I'll slide that off there to the side. And then I think what I want to do is I want the two snowflakes on this side and the one on the left side. So I'm centering this, again, the best that I can. And we're going to tack that in place. Okay, so now that's there. All right. If you feel more comfortable at home and you don't want to do this, you can always lay this cardstock here. Grab your pencil and give yourself little lines for a perimeter. Then move the cardstock and then stamp your greeting and adhere. That's just another cheat little tip there for you in case you feel more confident or you're using a different stamp that's not photopolymer. So let's go ahead and ink up our stamped greeting. And we're going to go ahead and put that right here in the center. And we're going to press. All right, so now we have our words. Isn't that just gorgeous? But, I couldn't resist. I had to add some more gems. So let me grab those gems one more time. And this time I'm going to use the smaller ones that are here. So again, with that take your pick tool, I'm going to add, oh, where should we put this? I think right here in the middle, don't you think? And then we'll take another and we'll add that here. And I cannot wait to share these other 6 cards with you. And if you like fun folds, you're in for a nice big wow with these other cards. So this goes down, this goes up, and this goes down. So this is a double flap fun fold. Isn't this pretty? So you've got an area here that you can leave a short message or just leave it as presentation, maybe even a small photograph, one that the kids get at school. And then, of course, you've got the greeting for the inside. And I love the light colored cardstock, so you can certainly sign here as well. Really a stunning and different type of fun fold, but beautiful wintry colors, isn't it? All right, let me share those other cards with you that I was chatting with you about. Now, these cards are all part of this month's monthly online card making class. And I do this every single month. I provide 6 different card ideas. Now, this month, look at this. This is a fun fold card. And if you think this is difficult, it's not. During my online card making class, you are not only going to get a color PDF tutorial with step-by-step instructions for all 6 cards, you are also going to get a full-length video so you can stamp right along with me from home. You can stop and start as often as you'd like. Now, I provide these cards, the video and the tutorial, for free in exchange for a $50 product order using my exclusive card making class host code. Look at that. You see how I use this die in a 3D effect? My videos are packed with tips, which makes stamping from home super duper easy. So we've got fun fold number 1 here. We've got a regular beautiful card here. Gorgeous thank you card. And of course, you can change up the greetings to other things in the stamp set. I'm going to give you lots of tips about the stamping and the designer series paper use. Next to fun fold, look at this. This actually pivots from the top and then pivots down for the inside of your card. But I want to share something with you. You're going to notice that there's no cut here and there is no cut here. There's literally only a half a circle. So my video is going to walk you through all these fun fold die cutting tips that are going to make it really, really easy for you at home. And then we have one other. Look at that. Isn't that stunning? These papers are extraordinary. Again, double-sided. I'm going to teach you how to do some variegated stamping. I'm going to teach you a lot of tips about the embellishment and about layering this card and using that gorgeous embossing folder. Now, obviously, if you want your cards to look exactly like mine, you're going to need some supplies. But keep in mind, you can order and use whatever you have at home. This is the last fun fold. Here's a view from the top. This pulls out, which gives us that gorgeous insert on the inside. So I've used that same negative image here concept for just a different fun fold design. Now, I want to share a couple other things about this month's card kit with you, and I want to give you a quick peek at the tutorial. Let me turn the camera around. My monthly online card making class is only available for a 4-day ordering window. It starts today, Wednesday, November 11th, and it will go through Saturday, which is November 14th of 2020 only. You are having to use the exclusive card making class host code in order to obtain the free video, the free tutorials. Please keep in mind that I also am going to include this. Inside the tutorial, like I mentioned, there are sketches and drawn out maps of those fun folds for the ones that I think that may not be too easy for you to figure out. For those of you that are actually placing your order for the card making class, there'll be a video link right here in the tutorial that's easy for you to navigate right over to view. Now, this is a 14-page color tutorial that includes multiple pictures of each of the cards, step-by-step instructions, cutting dimensions, and all the supplies. Now, a couple things about this online card making class. If for some reason you decide you would love to join us, I would love to have you. But if your order is $150 in product or more, please do not use that host code. And the reason is that Stampin' Up! Will provide you with what they call Stampin' Rewards, which is extra free product for the size of your order. But it is imperative that you contact me at lisastampstudio.com and let me know that that order size was intended for the card making class. Otherwise, I have no way of knowing. Really, really important. Again, just a 4-day ordering window. One thing too about the tutorial we get asked quite a bit is, do you offer the tutorial by itself? And the answer is yes, but it does not include the video. So the video link will not be there. I do charge $1 per page, which is a deal for all the pictures, cutting dimensions, and the supplies, and of course the directions. And you'll be able to find that on my website at lisastampstudio.com under the classes tab. So my PDF tutorial there are in my library, and it's very, very extensive. I hope that you're going to enjoy all these projects. I know I've absolutely loved this fun fold. I'm grabbing it so you can get another quick look at it. Isn't it really pretty? Oh, that fun fold is so, so fun. And a great way even to make an invitation for the holidays or any other occasion. Now, before we go, I'm looking over at my calendar to make sure that I haven't missed out on anything else. There is one extra bonus with my online card making class I want to tell you about. All those customers get an invitation to a private YouTube event called Live with Lisa, where I provide several live demonstrations. I give away product prizes, and they get 8 more project tutorials. It's just an exclusive way of me saying thank you for your order. Again, remember, you can order whatever you'd like. I give you a lot of freedom for that. I want you to mark your calendar, and if you would, subscribe to my channel down below. Click that little bell icon that's next to it, because you're not going to want to miss getting notifications, because I'm coming back live with you, and I'm looking at my calendar. It's going to be Monday, November 23rd, to kick off Thanksgiving week. Isn't that going to be a great time? I hope that you will join me. I appreciate all your orders, and I thank you for all the kind words and for viewing. Megan, thanks for all your hard work tonight, and thank you for joining me. I'll see you on the 23rd of November. Good night.